JoshCast, dun, 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 dun. Oh, it's the podcast that keeps going. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, in spite of the fact that there may not be dun, 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 dun. Oh, an excessive amount of listenership. Dun, 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 dun. JoshCast, dun, 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 dun. JoshCast, dun, 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 dun. Okay, well, this has really been on my mind, and I want to make sure that I want to make sure that this is documented. I object to what Donald Trump is doing by issuing travel bans on countries that may harbor terrorists. He claims that this is not a discriminatory action against Muslims, and I disagree. I believe that it is. And I feel that I have to say it out loud so that when I have grandkids and they said, well, what did you do when these actions were taken? How did you fight the good fight? I can say, I made a podcast about it, and one, perhaps two, people listened to it. And I can play them the podcast, and they can say, oh, we see why you're not in the history books. But yes, Donald Trump is issuing a ban against all Syrian refugees because he's afraid that terrorists will be coming in with the refugees and they will come into America and kill people. And, sorry for saying this, but that's kind of a hypocritical thing for Donald Trump to feel, because when white people first came over, the very first thing they did was kill people. I would even say, listen, it's the God-given right of all people on earth to be able to have the opportunity that we had to come to America and kill people. So that just a view on that, something to process, if you will. But I find it really scary that this is happening, and I find it oddly. You know what? Like, I feel like it's almost making a problem where there is no problem, because, the last few terrorist attacks that have taken place in America were perpetrated by Americans. So, once again, we're putting a lot of energy into making sure that people don't come into the country. The people who come into the country might actually help us? They might be the ones who stop the terrorism. Has that ever occurred to anyone? Probably not. But I want to say that this is wrong now, because I don't want to be one of those people who is silent and the bad thing happens, and I'm the silent majority that let the bad thing happen. Where the time came, I stood up and made a podcast and put it out there so that a person could hear it and, be with me on the outrage and the fear. Transition. I find myself, I don't know if the Trump thing is related to this either. Maybe it is. I don't know. I'm lonely. I'm very lonely this week. And I'm thinking about how there were so many opportunities where I could have asked a woman out that I didn't ask a woman out. And I'm wondering if I really missed out on something. If my one true love I already met, and because I didn't make a move, she is gone, and now there's no chance that I'll ever be with anybody. And then I look at some of the relationships around me and I think, well, that's probably more realistically what would it be. Like the relationships I see around me, which is people, it seems like people that, yes, they do love each other. Yes, there is genuine affection that they have for each other. It's just rarely discussed. It's understood, there's documentation of the love. It's just filed away somewhere and not really reflected upon much, in between the screaming and the yelling and the throwing of things. That's what I've observed. Maybe I just haven't met enough people. Maybe I just haven't seen enough relationships. I've seen enough relationships to know. So maybe I am actually, in fact, there's a part of me that thinks that, okay, yes, I haven't asked out a lot of women, and yes, I'm very lonely, but on the other hand, think of all the terrible relationships I've avoided. So many of them would have been terrible, terrible relationships. I may not have my hair. I really believe that. All of my hair. I mean, I may be totally hairless from the stress of the kinds of relationships. Because I can't help but wonder, the kind of women I'm attracted to. They say like attracts like, and I'm a very neurotic, self-obsessed person. So, you get me. If I'm in a relationship with another me, not a lot of happy moments are occurring. There's going to be a lot of shared concern. And that's not what I want. I want to be able to show a lady a mole on my skin and say, "Oh, what do you think?" And she's going to go, "It's fine, Josh. It's fine. It's okay." But knowing me, I'm going to end up with a lady who's like, "No, we need to call someone immediately. Oh my God, you're going to die. You're going to die. You're going to die. You're going to die. It's going to happen. Please call someone now." And we can have panic attacks together. Although, as I described that, in a weird way, that actually sounds kind of romantic, having panic attacks together. Because at the very least, I do want to be in a relationship with a woman who, and this is the best way I can describe it, I want to be in a relationship with a woman where I look at her and she looks at me, and her look seems to say, yes, I too see how screwed we are as a world. It's like a shared, yeah, I see it. It's kind of like how you watch the show The Office, and there's that moment where they look directly into the camera and go, "Are you seeing this?" That's what I find attractive. A woman who looks at me and is like, "You're seeing this too, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I am." Okay, well, let's go make love in the panic room. That's for me. There you go. That's it. That's right there. That's happily ever after, safely ever after, with legal counsel. Transition. I have this new ritual now where I want to end all of my podcasts with a bedtime story, and this is a bedtime story about the Care Bears. And it's a story about one particular Care Bear named Herschel, who is seeing his therapist with an existential crisis. Doctor, I have a problem. Well, please, Herschel, tell me what it is. Well, doctor, I don't care. Well, Herschel, what don't you care about? Anything. I don't care about anything. I know that there's suffering. I know, there are the other Care Bears. I don't care about any of them. I don't care about anyone on Earth. I don't care whether or not the next DC animated movie or the next DC live action movie is particularly good. I don't care. I lost the ability to care. Interesting, Herschel. When did you notice this? Well, I went to bed last night full of cares, watching CNN.com. And, Herschel, that could be it right there. What did I tell you about watching CNN.com before you go to bed? It's not healthy for someone who cares to watch CNN.com. I know, doctor, I know, but I couldn't. I was watching CNN.com, and I was contemplating the plight of existence and the fact that, my friends up north are soon going to be drowning because there's no more ice, and we're just watching what's going on in the realm of political artifice and all what have you. And I found myself, and I fell asleep, and then I woke up, and then I felt fantastic, utterly fantastic, and I couldn't. At first, I couldn't figure out what it was, but then I realized, I don't care. And I ran into another Care Bear, and he'd always bothered me, and I attacked him, and I ripped off part of his flesh, and it felt wonderful. Herschel, wait a minute. Herschel, go back. Are you serious? Did you rip off your Care Bear friend's flesh? Well, just the leg. That's fine. He's not dead. I know that for sure. I could tell by the screams. Herschel, this is very serious. You hurt a Care Bear. You injured a Care Bear. No, don't get me wrong. Intellectually, I'm right there with you. But emotionally, I could care less. And in fact, I don't even know why I'm here seeking help. I'll tell you why I came. Doctor, I'll tell you exactly why I came. You have a particular kind of candy in your jar that I always enjoy. And I was here for the candy. Herschel, this is a very serious situation. This apathy, Herschel, it reminds me of The Stranger in Albert Camus. Doctor, Doctor, it's funny. Back if I were caring, I would be really annoyed with the fact that you're comparing me to an Albert Camus novel. But now that I don't care, I'd like to hear you continue talking about how I'm an Albert Camus character. Please continue. Herschel, I think you're missing the point. You can't just eliminate morality like this. You can't just kill for no reason. There are laws. There are you of all people as a Care Bear should know this. Your mission is to spread care and love and joy throughout the world. Doctor, what has that accomplished? What have we done with the Care Bears? You know how much we've been caring? Do you know how much energy I've been shooting out of my chest? Love energy shooting out of my chest. I went to Washington, D.C. the other week. All the Care Bears, we went to Washington, D.C. We shot love out of our chests, out of our tits. We were shooting love out of our tits right in the face of the congressman. And it was like nothing happened. Nothing happened. It was a great photo op, but nothing happened. Herschel, you're suddenly sounding like someone who cares with the way that you're raising your voice. Doctor, you're right. You're right. The guilt is suddenly coming back. God, I feel awful. Well, Herschel, that's why I'm here. That's what therapists do. We make things worse. In a good way, but we make things worse. Well, God, I ripped off my Care Bear friend's leg. Herschel, do you know the name of your Care Bear friend? Well, listen, we're dealing with me not caring, but the narcissism, that's still a bigger issue. This is the end of the podcast, and the children sing and the children play. This is the end of the podcast.